Hello, thru hikers, backpackers, hikers, tree huggers, and really anyone who just loves to go on long walks outside in the natures. We're glad you're here. I'm Yeti Legs, one of your hosts for the podcast Yeti Walks into Basecamp, talking through hiking. Welcome to our first Environmental Corner episode. Originally, these have been segments in our normal episodes, but we decided to turn these into their own episodes themselves. So these will be released on alternating weeks. You'll notice there's not an E, so like an episode number coming before these. These are their own little separate entities. So we hope you enjoy this very first Environmental Corner episode, which covers the environmental impacts of artificial intelligence. Before we get into the episode, I just wanted to let you know that it's going to be broken down into two parts. The first part covers the actual environmental effects that artificial intelligence, or AI, has on our environment. And then the second part, I wanted to list a little call to action or something that you can do on your own personal level to help combat the environmental impacts that AI can have on our planet. I feel like with all of these topics that we talk about in our environmental corner, they can become a little doom and gloom, but with just about everything that we'll talk about on any of our environmental corner episodes, there is something that you can do as one single person to make a difference in your community and hopefully in the world. So stay tuned and I hope you enjoy the episode. Y'all, I'm gonna get some haters from this one.
He's about to rip our artificial intelligence to get out.
Yeah, I'm gonna rip a new one for the environmental impacts of AI. I take a lot of pride in the fact that we don't use AI in any component of our podcast, in the editing and the social media, even in the information gathering. I actually use websites and articles and
Yes,
I'm
Wesley uses no AI. I want you all to know. I, on the other hand, do use it some for work. It is helpful for what I'm learning. It's kind of a two-edged sword in the world of film for me. But I only use it for emails just to make sure it helps me organize my thoughts.
Well, I'm about to tell you what you do every single time you run an email through
What
AI.
if I only do it like twice a day?
Well, I'm going to tell you.
Oh, boy. All right, here we go, everybody.
So, yes, if you love AI, if you don't love AI, this is just what has been determined and some postulated on the environmental impacts of artificial intelligence. So I did use AI for this. I pulled an AI query from Copilot, was that Google?
Wait, so you did use AI?
Yeah, because I wanted to see what AI would say about itself.
But you just said you didn't use AI.
So this is the only thing that I have used and will use AI for, is asking AI about itself. So I used Copilot, which I think is the Google AI, and I just asked it what the environmental impacts are from artificial intelligence. And this is what it said. Artificial intelligence, or AI, has significant environmental impacts primarily due to its high energy consumption, carbon emissions, water usage, and electronic waste generation. So that's what AI said about itself. It is clearly self-deprecating. It's not trying to hide that. So at least it spits the information out whenever you query it.
It just showed its true colors.
It told us its true colors. So in my opinion, there are kind of two parts to the AI story and its environmental impacts. And this is going to be after infrastructure has been built. So infrastructure is like one whole component of this. And that's going to include mineral extraction, which can, be acquired through dirty mining or other methods that can be detrimental to the landscapes and ecosystems. And then you have chemicals, which are used for processing a lot of those minerals. And then the actual land acquisition and development for building data centers, which AI requires. This is all the infrastructure that goes into just getting the AI started. And that's a whole other ballgame. And I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to talk about AI once it has been instituted in a data center, and you're kind of going from there. There is basically the training process for AI once the data center has already been constructed. And then after the training process, there's the use phase for AI. So the use phase I broke down into two parts. There's the data processing, and then there is what's called inference. And inference is when you're using a trained AI model to make predictions on new data. So not just a general query where it's pulling information from a known source and spitting it back to you, but when you're asking it to like postulate about things coming.
Wait. Sorry.
Yeah, and that's the inference.
That means, hey, ChatGPT, this happened in my relationship and I don't know what to do about it. What do you think? Is that what that is?
I would think that that's a type of inference, yeah.
Okay.
Or if you ask it, what's the fate of the world in 10 years? It's going to pull the information it can and try and infer to its best ability based on its training. So it's going to use that inference. But again, I am not an AI expert. I pulled this information from about 3 or 4 different sources, and I'll list those sources whenever I quote them. But one of the big components to AI is the training. So the model development is very energy intensive, and it continues to use energy even after that training process has been completed. But also you have a lot of water usage for cooling. That can also be super intensive. This intense water usage for the cooling process can really put a lot of pressure on municipalities and the ecosystems from which that water is being pulled and sourced to use it for. And then I broke down the different components of like what AI is doing and how these things are detrimental to our systems. And we're going to be talking about electricity, and we're going to talk a little bit about water, a little bit about waste, and then some continued threats.
Can I interrupt you with a question?
What's up?
The youth training phase, is that something that we're using right now, or is this before it ever goes into like what we're using?
I don't know about a youth training, but
I thought that's what you just said.
No, the training.
Just the training.
Yeah, so you have the training phase and then the what I call the use phase.
Oh, like a using phase.
Yeah.
So the training phase, that's what I'm asking, that's a phase of AI where we don't see that?
They have to be trained before they allow them to
run free,
be utilized by the public.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like children.
Yeah. So here are some statistics on the electricity requirements for AI. So the electric demands from data centers can be pretty massive. Data centers are temperature-controlled buildings that house computing infrastructure such as servers, data storage drivers, and network equipment. And that was a quote from MIT. And then you have a quote from UNEP. It says, data centers have surged from 500,000 in 2012. In 2024, when the UNEP article that I'm referencing was published, the number had increased from 500,000 to 8 million data centers. That's a lot.
Wait,
that's a lot of data centers.
2012 though, we had data centers. We had 500,000.
For computers,
but that's
for search
for
engines.
Computers. That is for search engines.
Yeah,
like Google.
Yes,
that's what data centers were for.
Exactly. So even a Google search requires a data center, and it requires some type of electricity and cooling, and similar to what we're talking about for AI. But AI is just far more consuming and demanding than a normal Google search would be.
Because it's more intense.
It's more intense.
Okay.
It is.
So we have 8 million data centers now because of AI?
As of 2024.
And it looks like they're in progress. 25, 26.
Building more. Yeah.
They're building a shit ton more.
They're building a lot more. And they're actually building one a mile away from Horseshoe Bend area in Page,
which
Arizona.
Is disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, what water is there other than the Colorado River, right? Probably not much.
We can talk about that after you're done with this, but that really pisses me off.
Yeah. The first data center was created in 1945, but demand since then, and largely because of the onset of AI, has dramatically increased. The thing with AI is the power density that it demands. This is a quote from MIT. Scientists have estimated that the power requirements of data centers in North America increased from, I'm just going to say, 2,600 megawatts at the end of 2022 to 5,300 megawatts at the end of 23. These numbers may mean nothing to you, but I'll get to them in a minute. Partly driven by the demands of generative AI. Globally, the electricity consumption of data centers rose to 460 terawatts, so not megawatts, in 2022. This would have made data centers the 11th largest electricity consumer in the world between the nations of Saudi Arabia and France. So data centers pulling as much electricity as between Saudi Arabia and France. That is crazy to me. Not all data centers are connected to AI use, however, but it's been a major driver in the energy increases we've been seeing. Demand is outpacing, and the development of data centers cannot be met in a sustainable way, but rather the use of fossil fuels will be required to meet these energy demands. The power needed to train and deploy a model like OpenAI's ChatGPT 3, so this is an older model, I think we're on like 4 or 5, is difficult to ascertain. In a 2021 research paper, scientists from Google and the University of California at Berkeley estimated the training process alone consumed 1,287 megawatt hours of electricity. And this is for ChatGPT 3, so an older model. That is enough power to get about 120 U.S. homes powered for an entire year. Just the training process for that old, obsolete AI model.
Is that for like one data center, or is that for all of the data centers?
I believe that's for the one data center.
Wow.
Yep.
That's insane.
Yep. And that generated about 552 tons of carbon dioxide. Just the training process for that AI model. 552 tons. The average vehicle produces about 4.6 tons of carbon dioxide annually, according to the EPA. So the training process for that old obsolete ChatGPT model produced enough carbon emissions as 120 vehicles would over the course of a year.
That's insane.
Just to train the AI model.
That's not even using it.
Not even being used anymore. And I talk a little bit more about the shelf life of it later. The AI training process inflicts large fluctuations in power demands, so companies use diesel-powered generators to compensate whenever those large spikes in energy requirements are hit. Each time a model is used, perhaps by an individual asking ChatGPT to summarize an email, the computing hardware that performs those operations consumes energy. Researchers have estimated that a ChatGPT query consumes about 5 times more electricity than a simple web search, according to MIT, but according to UNEP, it can consume as much as 10 times as a normal query from Google. UNEP also predicts that by 2026, so the year that we are recording this, about 35% of Ireland's energy demands will be due explicitly to AI. 35%, that's over a third of the country's energy demands. Bashir, who is a computing and climate impact fellow at MIT Climate and Sustainability Consortium and a postdoc for computer science, said this, but an everyday user doesn't think too much about that, referencing the actual use and the consumption and the environmental impacts. The ease of use of generative AI interfaces and the lack of information about the environmental impacts of my actions means that, as a user, I don't have much incentive to cut back on my use of generative AI. Inference, thought to become the lead energy consumption process as newer versions of these AI models come out, and this is really the kicker for the training of these AI models, is that they have extremely short shelf lives. Companies release new models every few weeks, driven by increased demand for these AI models. New models often require more energy because they often have more parameters than their predecessors. As these new models are coming out and being trained, they're consuming more and more energy. And just the old ChatGPT 3 was consuming 120 households and 120 vehicles worth of CO2 emissions.
And this is every few weeks?
That's what it says, according to the MIT paper. Every couple of weeks, they're having to come out with these new models.
So this is where I get really confused about AI, I guess, is it's a data center. So there is a data storage thing that's computing all this like a computer, and it's getting uploaded online to me if I'm asking it to help me. And then, so what you're saying is that could have been ChatGPT 3, but are they replacing that storage data with a new storage data?
I'm not sure about the mechanics of how that works.
Okay, because that's what I'm confused about is if it's being replaced every few weeks, is it being replaced by another storage data?
From my understanding, AI have short shelf lives.
So then what do they do with the old data or the old storage? They just throw it out in a landfill?
Well, whenever they say that the new models typically require more energy, I'm thinking it's because they're adding these new parameters that they've learned from queries that you and everybody else using AI have taught the old models to understand.
So they're adding on to their old models.
Yeah, so the new models have more parameters, which I'm guessing have to do with what they learned in the older versions of those models. So it's like you're building upon each other. It's like the movies where you have unlimited lives and you keep coming back to life, or even a video game. You learn more each time you die, so you keep coming back and you learn more, you learn more, you learn more.
Yeah, I think the piece I just want to get clarity on is if they actually throw out a storage data and replace it with a new one after an upgrade, or if it's like they're just inputting more information into that data center or that data storage thing. Because I've seen these. I've seen what they look like. I've been to a data center for filming, and
they're huge.
They're really big, and it's these huge boxes, and they're computing and like green coding. I don't know. They're doing crazy stuff, and they're just making a lot of noises. I'm just curious if they replace those. They wouldn't replace them every few weeks. That feels like a waste of money.
I think it's like the digitized model that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if any actual hardware has to be replaced whenever they're training and releasing these new AI models, but it's quite the intensive process. Yeah.
So every time ChatGPT gets upgraded, it has to go through a new training process.
Exactly.
Oh, it's every few weeks.
Yes. That's why I'm trying to emphasize. So 120, 120, 120. And that's just for older models. So more might be consuming, or newer ones might be consuming more energy and requiring more water for cooling and putting off more CO2. It's like we're quickly wanting this thing that is going to be the quick demise of us. That's what it feels like to me.
It's going to be the quick demise.
Yeah.
It's going to suck all our water dry.
I mean, we thought that, global warming and climate change was an issue before. Well, now it's going to just be exponentially exacerbated. We're going to literally put the nail in our own coffin is what it feels like.
I mean, we will.
That's what it feels like to me.
Because we're already struggling with drought.
Yeah.
We had a shitty winter.
Here in Colorado.
Like we're having a really bad winter.
Yeah, it's going to be a bad fire season.
It's going to be a bad fire season.
Real bad fire season.
Bad drought summer. And so, interesting.
It's funny you talk about that because the next topic is water. And this is going to be a lot more brief than the electric consumption because that was just really in detail. It's estimated that for each kilowatt hour of energy, 2 liters of water are required to cool an AI system. So, back when I was talking about the megawatt hours earlier, so back to that, 1,200 or so megawatt hours of energy usage for training that old ChatGPT-3 breaks down to 1,287,000 kilowatt hours, which requires an estimated 2,574 liters of water to cool it. Or you could look at that as 679,978 gallons of water just to cool that AI during the training process. That could provide quite a lot of water for folks who need it. It can also dramatically influence ecosystems. Just to give you a little bit of a perspective here, about a quarter of humanity already lacks clean water and sanitation, according to the United Nations Environmental Program, or UNEP. So this water could be used for much more humanitarian practices, could be used for our ecosystems, but instead we are choosing to use it to cool our AI data centers because we just have to use that AI search function. I'm obviously very biased about it. I know that there are and will be upsides to the use of AI, but I just can't get over the environmental impacts of it.
I don't know what the upsides are yet. I mean,
if you want to talk upsides, people have talked about AI being able to improve itself. So you ask AI, how can I improve the environmental impacts that AI is creating? And AI can help solve that. They've talked about that. What I really see is AI could be very beneficial in the medical field, and it will undoubtedly be used, if it's not already being used, in the military.
Oh, yeah.
So both of those.
I could definitely see it already being used in the military.
I am very much against the social use of AI by the general public. I know that's going to hit a lot of people the wrong way, but that's my opinion on it. You can have your own opinion. But I don't think that we should be able to utilize something this powerful from our phone. It's too convenient. It's too detrimental to the environment. A lot of people don't even realize it. Just like Bashir said, folks just don't want to be held accountable for the impacts that their actions are having. If they even know the impacts, that's the other part of the problem, right?
There's no educating people for what's happening.
Exactly.
The ripple effect.
You don't have to take an educational course whenever you download ChatGPT to understand the roles and then the repercussions. You just download it, hit I agree to the user agreement, and you start using it.
Yeah,
right?
you're right.
I've never used it, so I'm assuming that's what you do. And then there's the waste component. Data centers produce a lot of electronic waste, and this electronic waste often contains hazardous substances, which do include lead and mercury, and those wastes have to be disposed of somewhere. So you have your electricity consumption, your CO2 emissions because of the electricity, you have your water usage because of the cooling, and then you have your electronic waste. Some of the other threats you may not be thinking of, there's an unintended consequence such as self-driving vehicles. They may become more widely used versus cycling or other types of public transportation. So people will be using these self-driving vehicles as a mode of transportation, and that it's going to be increasing our greenhouse gas emissions instead of cycling or using these larger means of public transportation. Another one is what they call a higher order effect. The use of AI to create misinformation about climate change, downplaying the threat like we are currently witnessing from our administration. Speaking of our administration, they're trying to roll back EPA regulations for the cheaper and increased use of fossil fuels as opposed to sustainable energy. And they have already rolled out, as of July 2025, what they call America's AI Action Plan. And before that, it says winning the race. And here is a quote from Donald Trump. Today, a new frontier of scientific discovery lies before us, defined by transformative technologies such as artificial intelligence. Breakthroughs in these fields have the potential to reshape the global balance of power, spark entirely new industries, and revolutionize the way we live and work. As our global competitors race to exploit these technologies, it is a national security imperative for the United States to achieve and maintain unquestioned and unchallenged global technological dominance. To secure our future, we must harness the full power of American innovation. That document, America's AI Action Plan, is about 28 pages. It uses the word environment 10 times, only in reference to data center environments or rolling back environmental protections to expedite data center permitting. Ecosystem is used 4 times, once in reference to whole genomic sequencing of ecosystems and 3 times referencing AI ecosystems. The words conservation and wildlife are never used in that document. There are 1,822 active data centers as of June 2025 in the United States. 404 data centers are currently under construction in the U.S. A whopping 1,544 have been announced for construction. It's not specified if they are all AI related or not, but odds are, due to the demand, they are. And this is all I can think of for the good. AI can be used to query solutions for climate change and global warming and ways to increase the sustainability of AI itself. It can be used to expedite scientific endeavors and save valuable time. And then it can be used in the medical field for saving lives and in the military. A lot of environmental impacts from AI. There's no end in sight, only increased demand, which is going to just make things worse. And I'm not trying to speak in a, I don't know.
Doom and gloom or?
In a, what's the phrase I'm looking for? A dystopian doom and gloom scenario. But that's really where my heart is.
That's what's happening, though. And that's what's going to happen. This is just like if a train goes in this direction, it's going in this direction. It's just speeding up the process that we're already seeing in our environment. And unfortunately, I don't think this train can stop.
It does not seem like it's going to stop.
I mean, even the Colorado, so we have Colorado Democrats, in our Senate, in our Congress, and they are pushing for data centers here in Colorado. And I'm shocked. And it's a money thing. Like, the federal government took away our money because he hates Colorado and he's pissed at us. He took away our money. And so now the state's trying to find ways to supplement money to help the people. And data centers is probably a huge solution, which sucks because we're already having water problems. And the Colorado River is getting lower and lower. Like, it's so low right now.
The Colorado River originates in northern Colorado, and if we don't get a lot of snow, there's not going to be a lot of Colorado River.
And a lot of people depend on that, not just Coloradans. I mean, we've got Arizona, you've got Nevada, you've got California that depend on the Colorado River. And look at Las Vegas, look at Phoenix. Like, there's so much already electricity and water goes into these sources. And if we're having a drought, like, you guys, Arizona is in a drought. We experienced it when we thru hiked the Arizona Trail. You can't get water there. So by putting a data center right beside Horseshoe Bend, where that's one of their only water sources.
Yeah, I don't know what that's going to look like.
It's going to take it.
But I will say I am of a mind that water is no longer a renewable resource. I think we're going to see it used more and more and replenished slower in the future. And I think it's going to be a big issue for us.
I think it is. And I didn't think we'd be able to see this in our lifetime. I thought this would be something that unfortunately our kids were going to see, but
I don't want them to see it.
Well,
either.
I don't want them to see it either, but we're just seeing the ripple effects of what no one is going to stop any of these trains. No one's going to stop carbon emissions. No one's going to stop driving. We have cars, like no one's going to stop flying. No one's going to stop doing these things. And now adding data centers to the equation, we're going to see it in our lifetime, I think.
I mean,
the speed up.
Well, yeah, and you have this administration that's rolling back all these regulations that are set in place, yes, to quote unquote cock block the institution of these developments. And they're there to try and protect the people. They are. They are not there just to be asshole democratic rules and regulations. They are there for health and human safety. And they are choosing to roll this back, and they are choosing to roll back air standards, and they're choosing to roll back water standards so that they continue to, I don't even remember what I read in the quote, the dominance of America. And I'm not articulating this well, but it's really for power and money. That is the end goal, and that's what I know in my core. And I can't quote anything, but just from what I have continued to see from this administration, and then 5 years ago now, it is about power, it is about money, it is about reputation, and environment be damned, and now human health be damned. But we are going to do what we have to do. We're going to make gas prices cheaper. We're going to open the Trans-Alaskan Pipeway. We're going to drill, baby, drill, and we're going to continue to see the detrimental effects of what's happening now, I think a lot quicker than we would like to.
And unfortunately, because in the USA, ripple effects happen with presidents. And so, this may be 5 years from now that we start to see everything crash and burn. And I hope everybody remembers why this all crashed and burned.
We're obviously very biased on this. We're very passionate. And it comes off as anger a lot of times. And honestly, you should be biased about this too and angry about it because this is your future. The land is your legacy. That's what you've got. Who the hell cares about a data center?
But I will say, I think it'll take over the film industry. It's going to change. It's going to change a lot of the film industry. I'll see that happen over the next 5 years for sure.
Let's end on a happy note, though. I'm going to end on an Edward Abbey quote. And just remember, folks, if you're listening, odds are you're an outdoor enthusiast. Machinations and machines and technological advancements can be really great, but I always kind of fall back on this Edward Abbey quote. That a man on foot, on horseback, or on a bicycle will see more, feel more, enjoy more in 1 mile than the motorized tourist can in 100 miles. And the motorized tourist can be exemplary of AI users and the highest tech possible and available to mankind. But you got to get out there, you got to see, you got to explore to appreciate and want to take care of what we have. So we just encourage you to get outside, explore, and want to protect the natural resources and the lands that we have. My call to action to you is simple. It's not complicated at all. I say just don't use AI. By not using AI, you can combat the environmental impacts that a single query has, that an email optimization has, that an image generation has. All of these things, we got along just fine before the emergence of generative AI to the general public, and I think we can continue to do so. The best way to combat the environmental impacts of AI is to stop using it. Each person's actions has the power to make monumental change, and I think that together we can make change here and save our environment. The majority of all information shared in this podcast episode comes from one of 3 sources: a UN Environmental Program, or UNEP, article titled "AI Has an Environmental Problem. Here's what the world can do about it." An article from MIT News titled "Explained: Generative AI's Environmental Impact." And lastly, a paper called "The Climate and Sustainability Implications of Generative AI." And links to all of these sources can be found in the show notes. I have a very special ending for this episode. Anders, the founder of Fire Once Lost, who provides the intro and outro music for our podcast, actually has a new song released titled "Ain't Our Fault." Anders also included a little tidbit of just how AI is affecting musical artists such as himself. And I think that this is something that's really helpful for others to hear, because not only is AI influencing the way that musicians perform and sell their music, but also other artists and other people in other industries. It really brings a real world factor into this instead of just spitting out numbers and statistics about how bad AI actually is on the environment. Ain't Our Fault is a dark and ominous roots Americana song about the dangers of turning a blind eye to the unfairness and malice around us. I think that this song rings true for the subject matter that we're talking about. Enjoy a little word from Anders and his new song, Ain't Our Fault.
Hello, I'm the Fire Once Lost, and I promised to say a few words about the impact of AI on the music industry. What we're seeing is a lot of problems with IP theft, intellectual property being taken to train these AI models. And there's been a number of lawsuits from different rights organizations against Suno, the biggest music AI. They use the music created by people to make their music, and they copy it, and they have been proven to actually copy. Furthermore, streaming services are being filled with AI-generated music, and a lot of this kind of music that people listen to while working or studying, the playlists are being filled with AI-generated music because nobody cares who really made the music, so it's just computer-generated now. This is a problem for the artists who used to make this kind of music, and the same goes for people who used to make background music for TV and series and companies and trailers. And lastly, one of the biggest problems is that we have a huge loss of authenticity in music. We can't trust that when we hear music, it's actually created by people. So when you hear the next song on the radio or on your streaming service, that guitar might not be a guitar, and that drum kit might not be a drum kit, and there might be no singer at all. For artists who see music as a human expression, that is the biggest loss of all. An old man waiting in the rain, avoiding the fight. A woman crying out in pain under neon lights. Eyes are passing, nothing seen in a midtown park. A young kid, barely 17, making trades in the dark. You recall what you tell yourself at night, and you know it's the end of our time. Oh Lord, it ain't our fault. Oh Lord, it ain't our fault. The outcast staring at the flame, the door to hell. No one cared to learn his name, might as well. Power stolen, same old song. The the broken will. The weak will fall to feed the strong. Submit and be still. You recall what you tell yourself at night, and you know it's the end of our time. Oh Lord, it ain't our fault. Oh Lord, it ain't our fault.
We hope you enjoyed that song and just wanted to give a huge shout out to our editing team here at Yeti Walks into Basecamp, to Anders at The Fire Once Lost for providing our intro and our outro music, and to you, our listeners, because we wouldn't be here without you. If you'd like to send us any questions or comments via email, you can reach out to us at yetiwalksintobasecamp@gmail.com. We hope to hear from you. And remember that it doesn't matter what trail you're hiking, because at the end of the day, we're all just out there walking.
Charlotte here, lead editor for Yeti Walks into Basecamp. We just wanted to let you all know that we pride ourselves in using only the work and skills of real humans here on our podcast. No component of our show or social media utilizes AI, and that's how we want it to stay. We hope you enjoy the episode and the dedication that each of our team members put into it.